Successful 30-year titan in business with having multiple businesses that generate multiplied millions of dollars.
And if that plan happens to be to build $1 million company, which I can help you do.
But he's humble. He's a man of God. He's a family man. The world's news organizations are built on everything but positivity.
He is an influential entrepreneur and business speaker for over 30 years.
I've got to forecast. I've got to pronounce. I've got to project. I've got to share with you my ideas, my vision, my goals for not only myself, but for you.
That's why he's came up with his incredible concept of taking and creating a platform for people that are wired differently.
And you got to understand that your habits of your person and your habits of your business and your habits of your spirituality have to lead to the North Star of who you are. We need to figure out who we want to be in life. A man of God. I heard that like jump out at me like a man of God this morning. A man of God. I think about a lot of things, obviously, over the weekend. I have extra time to prepare for what I'm going to talk about. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. This is my last day in this studio here in Angola, Indiana at the Co-Works. We have an amazing studio. I think I'll take some pictures today and kind of post the whiteboards and the camera and the lights and everything that works here. It's an amazing situation. We were gratefully just able to be able to give back to this community and build this amazing podcast studio. So if you're in the Steuben County area, Angola area, come on by, talk to the Co-Works here at the EDC and say, I want to see the Wired Differently studio. Todd Saylor said I could look at it. They'll let you in, and they'll even let you use the studio. They've got a program here for people to come here, startups, entrepreneurs, beginning people, in business, people who want to have Wi-Fi, don't quite have the setup to do their own podcast. It's all here, man. I mean, the lights are here, the mixer board's here, the microphones are here, the desk is here, the green screen behind me is here. It's spectacular. But this morning, I want to talk to you about you. I guess when I was listening to the intro of myself, unfortunately, sometimes things just really, fortunately or unfortunately, things just stick in my head. And when it said a man of God, I felt a little extra pressure. Why do I put that in my walk-up music or song? Why do I what is this whole thing about, right? Why do I have to have a walk-up song now? Why do I have to have, why am I turning it up? Why am I trying to make this more consumer pleasure? Why is it so nice to why am I trying to make it better for you? Why am I trying to make it better? Because I really believe that I'm called to be good at this, to be great at this, to share a message with you that no one else out there is sharing, to do something a little different than the rest of the world, right? Right? Because we're called not to be of this world, right? We wake up, damn it, misfits. We wake up every morning, those of us who understand Wired Differently, and the gospel of Wired Differently, the gospel of Jesus Christ, we wake up just differently. We can't help it, man. We get up and we're just different. And so what I wanted to kind of tell you this morning on a Monday morning, I know Monday mornings are for setup, but I don't have time to set up today. I don't have time to worry about the setup or the pipeline today. I only have time to preach to you. It's my last day here. I'm leaving it on the field. I don't know when I'm going to be back, 2-3 weeks, but I know that I've got to tell you something very, very, very important today. My Tiki Hut people out there, hello, Tiki Hut people. My successionaires are out there, hello. I've got more people on today than I've ever had. So I know that God is asking me to get some type of message through to you. Tracy, when I'm done with this show, babe, I'm coming to pick you up. Grab your luggage because we're hoofing it to the airport and we're going home to Florida to see our family, our babies. But before I go home, I got this message I got to share. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. Corinthians, right here. 1 Corinthians 13:4. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. And I think to myself when I read that scripture, love doesn't feel like that. I mean, love doesn't feel like what Paul is talking to us about to the first church he wrote a letter to. Love letters. Paul wrote love letters to his church. He wrote love letters to his people. He really had this passion for the lost. And he said, love, though, my friends, is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. So what Paul's doing is explaining to you. I got a story I'm going to tell you. Paul was explaining to you what love is supposed to be and do. He isn't explaining to you right now what love feels like, because love feels lousy sometimes. I've had my heart broke. I've had my mind broke. My children, who I love desperately, have hurt my soul. Right? Because we love them so much that sometimes we're doing this patient and this kind thing, and we're programmed to do that. But when it comes back, sometimes it doesn't feel so good. Why does Paul write that? Love is patient. Love is kind. It's not to envy. It does not boast. It does not pray. Because that's how we're supposed to give out love, right? We don't have to worry. We don't have to worry about how love comes back as much as we're supposed to be concerned about how we give it out. But this morning, I wanted to tell you a story. I got a great story, and I want to build it. So I got a 3-part message for you today. I got this scripture, and I got this beautiful love story I want to tell you. I love love stories. Matter of fact, when I'm on my tours or when I'm talking across the country, I have one of these stories that I tell all the time. I'm not going to tell it today, but it's called Get the Girl. And it's a story. I mean, you can go to my YouTube channel anytime and just search Get the Girl. And it's a great 4 or 5 minute story about how I first met Tracy, how I asked her out on a date, and how it went, and how she said no, and she said no, and she said no, and finally she said yes. It's a great love story, but this love story is the love story of all love stories. And I got to see if Terry is on the phone, or Terry's on. And this is about Grandpa Gordon Fultz. I guarantee you, I'm not going to get through this story. I am not good. I'm just telling you, you guys all know I'm a big damn crybaby, but this one here, yeah, I could cry about my first date with my wife and turning me down until she didn't turn me down. Great story. Go to YouTube, watch that story, Get the Girl. But here's the thing. That's Todd Saylor, Wired Differently YouTube. Like, subscribe, get on that channel. But this is a love story that I just want you to set up, because it says, 1 Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. And so what I want to do is like back into that, and then I got some really excitement I want to break out to you on the last part of this show. But I don't know, Terry, Tracy, I don't know how old I was, but Grandpa Gordon Jacob, amazing man. This guy, I never had a grandpa. I started dating Tracy back in the 80s, and the family wasn't that excited about me except for one sister, Terry. Terry went to battle for me. She picked on me, but she went to battle for me. And she told her mom and her dad, this guy's going to be all right, right? This guy's going to be okay. And when they take me into that family, I had my own battles to deal with to get Gary to take me on, and Jan was pretty nice. But Gordon and Margie, the parents of Tracy's mother, were remarkable. And as I got married and moved through life with this family, I got closer and closer with Grandpa Gordon Jacob. We used to go there and see him over the summers and whatnot. And they were getting older in time. Tracy and I were probably on year 20 of our marriage, and things were going down for Gordon and Margie. They were getting older, and their bodies were starting to fail. And it was my first real life experience with somebody I loved that I watched. I don't, the word comes to my mind, disintegrate. I mean, like shrink and become less than what they are. It's a difficult thing to go through. And I'm actually watching some of my parents and things go on again now, 20 some years later. But Gordon was my first, he was just an amazing man. But Gordon and Margie had been married almost 60 years, if not 60 years. And I remember Margie finally died. His wife finally died. And Tracy was very close to Grandma Margie. Jan, Tracy's mother, loved her mother. I mean, this is a legacy of scattered kindness, goodness, the type of people that we just don't have a lot of in this world anymore. And when Margie died, things really changed in our family. We all kind of had a new sense of purpose, like who can fill this beautiful 1 Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not rhyme, it does not boast, it's not proud. I mean, Margie emulated that. She went first, but Gordon, in his almost 90s, missed her dramatically. And we knew that Gordon wouldn't last much longer because he was so connected with Margie, this love, this amazing love story. Watching, like Tracy and I are watching the ideal marriage, the God story embodied in two people walking on this earth as angels, living out God's will, living out God's idea, always being patient, always being kind, never in envy, and never boasting, and never proud. I mean, these people were it. And I'm just going to give you this story because when I think about that scripture, 1 Corinthians, that Paul gives us, when I think about love is patient, love is kind, and when I think about what we're supposed to be doing for other people, they were doing that. We're supposed to be doing that. Don't worry about how love makes you feel right now. Figure out how love can project from you or emanate from you, just like it did with Margie and Grandpa Gordon. And so here's the piece I wanted to get to you, is that Margie died and the funeral came. And it came to me that we were going to go to the funeral, and it came to me that there was not very many people at this funeral. I mean, when you live to be 90, a lot of your friends and people around you die well before you. And it's interesting that this first thing that came to my mind, that there wasn't very many people there. They had moved from north to the south, and they had lived so long that there wasn't a large gathering. I mean, these are the type of people that people should have been lined up around the block to pay their tribute to. These are the type of people that God created. And when I think about that, it's just not proud. God is, love is not proud. It's not like that was okay. But as the funeral was going on, Gordon was in the very front row, and Margie was in the casket up on the pedestal of the church stage, and the 20 or 30 people that were gathered were sitting in the back. And I was sitting close to my wife thinking, man, 60 plus years and Gordon's alone. And there's not a lot of people here. How's Gordon feeling? How is this process going to move through in life? And what is it going to be like for us? Am I going to go first? Is Tracy going to go first? Are we going to make it 60 years? Can we actually aspire to be these people? 1 Corinthians has called us to be patient, kind, not envy, not proud, not boasting. These people have done exactly what the Apostle Paul has called us to do for over 60 years as a couple. But here's what I want to share with you. Is as the funeral was over, everybody was moving through life and doing the things that they were doing, and they all kind of stood up and they waited for Gordon, the man in the front of the row who had just paid tribute to his 60-plus-year-old, almost 90-year-old wife, who had moved on, a man that had spent every wakening moment with her, every second. A love that most people will never, ever understand. A love that I'm aspiring to do because I had the jump. I got married at 23. I had the person. I knew that if I could just stay the course, I could have a love like that. One that is patient, kind, not envying, and not boasting, not proud. But here's the thing. When it was all over, Gordon stood up at the front of the pew and looked at the casket, looked around, and he reached his left hand down to grab his wife's hand. And she wasn't there as he turned to look for her. That is a moment in my life that I'll never, ever forget. That habit, that dependency, that patience, that kindness, That love, right? It was so ingrained in his mind and his soul and his body that even at the funeral of his only love of his life, the love of his life over 60 plus years, that even looking at her casket, that he reached for her hand to help her out of the pew at her own funeral. I don't know why I do this. But Paul's called us in 1 Corinthians. He's called us in 1 Corinthians 13:4 to have patient, have no envy, to not boast, not be proud. Love is kind. Love is forever. Love is how we're to project love, not to be so hung up on how we get love. Because when we get love, it stings a lot of the time. So if we can focus on giving love like Gordon, giving love like Margie, giving love like God has called us to do, everything's going to be all right. And so I really wanted to talk to you about my dearly beloved, right? That's a marriage. That's a marriage topic. That's why I said my dearly beloved, we're gathered here to this day to go through this thing called life. And so I wanted to just jack you guys up this morning and let you know that everything's going to be all right. Preach knows. I'm here to tell you. There's something else. Everything's gonna be all right. You can always see the sun. Day or night. Come on, preach. Everything's gonna be all right. I can't help myself. Things are much harder than the afterworld. It's Monday. So I had to do it. I had to do it because it was on my mind. I had to do it because it was on my mind all this weekend. I had this message for you. I had this afterlife message here. And so if I could tell you the story of Gordon Margie and I can tell you the scripture, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to come together for this message. And so when I think of the Apostle Paul, don't give me any hate mail. Prince comes into my mind. Can you believe it? Prince. And so why does Prince come to my mind? Because this song, this idea, everything's going to be all right. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here this day, right? And so what I wanted to do at the end of this show, because I've really laid some heavy stuff on you, because I know that your personal life, your entrepreneurial, spiritual life, and your prophet life all have to tie together. And there's no way around love in our life. There's no way around love in our personal life. There's no way around love in our spiritual life. Paul says, and there is no way you cannot devoid love from your entrepreneurial, profitable mindset of way. And it's not like Gordon just only loved Margie so much, right? That he didn't go to work and build an amazing trucking company and build an amazing future and give us all this stuff before us and our family. It's not like, Gordon had it together. He knew the personal help side. This guy was amazing. He was counseling and coaching in a very quiet, loving way. Not even through words as much as by actions and demonstrations. He took me fishing. He didn't push me out of the family. He encouraged me. He showed me how to love by loving his own wife. He showed me that love is kind and patient and not boastful. He went to the altar at the end of his marriage as well as the beginning of his marriage. He grabbed her hand at the beginning of the marriage, and he grabbed her hand in the death of her and her days at the funeral. This man demonstrated this piece of personal help, spiritual and profitable. And Prince, so how do I think? Because when I think about dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. Let's just break it down. I mean, Prince had it going on. We're going to pick on Prince a little bit, but so, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Listen, we're all here to get through this thing called life. Don't we say it? Be, do, think differently. Let's get it on like Donkey Kong. Let it rip, potatoes. Let's do this thing called life. I've been saying it for I don't know how long, and subconsciously I must have got it from this song. Dear beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Prince said it. It must be so. Electric word, life. It means forever, and that's mighty long time, he says. So he's reassuring me that forever is a long time, and life is forever. It's an electric word. Electric word of life, and it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. So when he says, but I'm here to tell you there's something else. Even this guy who is living in debauchery, right? Even this guy who's probably doing drugs, because we know he's moved away from this world because of some abuse of something or another. Even this guy who has amassed millions and I mean, more likes and hearts than no one could ever imagine probably in this day and age, but he would have had them, right? Prince was amazing. He says to us, there's something else. Electric word life, it means for that's a long and mighty long time, but I'm here to tell you there's something else, the afterworld. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun day or night. So, I mean, I think that an exciting song like this, that I love to hear the song. I love to hear the music. I love to understand what's going on. I think of Gordon when I hear this song. I do. The afterworld, a world of never-ending happiness, and can always see the sun day. I don't think that that's a wrong statement for heaven. And I will tell you this. So when you call up the shrink in the Beverly Hills, you know, the one that says, doctor, everything is going to be all right. He's talking about when you call somebody here on this earth to talk to them about what's going on in your life and try to pour out all your stuff. And they're just going to tell you everything's going to be all right, all right. Why don't you, instead of asking them about how much time is left to the shrink, he says this, which gets me, ask him how much of your mind. Where is your mind in Corinthians and love? Where is your mind in your relationship in mind? Where is your mind when it comes to loving others? Because in this life, it's much harder than the afterworld. In this life, you're on your own. Well, that's the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, Mr. Prince. Is an amazing man. Amazing story. And what does Prince have to do with my amazing grandfather, Gordon Jacob? It has a lot to do with each other because the song reminds me of him, the song of the upbeat and the nature of Dearly Beloved, the beginning of a marriage, and Dearly Beloved, we were gathered at the end of a marriage. Dearly Beloved is the title of most marriages, and Dearly Beloved is how I think about my own wife and how Gordon thought about his wife and Tracy's parents, and on it goes because the legacy was set. Dearly Beloved is the way I would love to address all my friends, dearly beloved, because I care that much about them. But at the very end, Prince tells me something, you know, the great Prince. I don't put him in the same category as Apostle Paul, but I do put him in there in the master motivation, a mindset of somewhat of a manipulation or motivation, however you want to pick it, because the song can't leave. But he says, I just wanted to touch on this with you because Gordon didn't give me the end of this message the way Prince did. And I want to make sure you understand that at the end of this, it says, because in this life, things are much harder than the afterworld, which I really believe they are. In this life, you're on your own. You know, Gordon was never on his own in this life. Gordon always had Jesus, always had Margie. And what I wanted to share with you was that at the end of Gordon's funeral, worshiping or going through the worship in the funeral service with Margie, it felt like he was alone for the first time. But Prince got it wrong because we're not on our own in this life. We're just not. We don't worship God. We don't read about God. We don't go through life to be on our own. Matter of fact, we go through this life to be with others, to love others. We go through this life to gather others. We go through this life to make for others. We go through this life to give to others, and we're just not alone. And if you're wired differently like I am, and you're wired differently in misfits of this world, and you understand the gospel, we were all patting Prince on the back. But I just wanted to correct one last thing that Gordon taught me from the time that I saw everything happen in his life, and how he witnessed to me, and how I aspire to love my own wife, is that in this life, you're not on your own. I remember thinking to myself, hearing those words when I was younger, and hearing those words even now before I decided to speak about it, was, yeah, it is not as hard in the afterlife. And in this world, you're on your own. And I feel like sometimes I am on my own. I feel like the decisions I make, the people that are not happy with me, the family members that may not be happy with me, I do feel like I'm on my own. But I want to encourage you that Gordon had shared much with me. Gordon in this story shared much with me. And he reassured me in 2 Corinthians that it's talking the truth, that love is kind, love is not proud, love does not boast, right? Love is giving. So Prince, you got the whole song right. I'm still going to listen to it. I love it, but we're not on our own. You're not on your own. You got me, you got other friends, but more importantly, those people unfortunately may probably most likely let you down, but God won't. God just won't. God is there for us. God was there for Gordon. God ushered Margie into heaven, and Gordon was in his own peaceful place when he reached so ever gently over to grab his wife's hand. And as I think about that, I really think he grabbed her hand. I really think that he wasn't alone at that moment, because God gave him comfort and peace and told him, Gordon, you're going to be going soon. She's right there. Well done, my faithful servant. So listen, I want you guys to understand that there's a lot of good things going on in this world. And I want you to understand that you are called to love others. You are called not to be so worried about how love feels to you, but you're called to love others. And when it comes to your own personal growth, if you could focus on loving others, more people will love you. And in your spiritual growth, if you can focus on what God is talking to us in 1 Corinthians 13:4, love is patient, love is kind, it's not to envy, it does not boast, and it does not proud. If you can focus on that scripture and what Apostle Paul is trying to say there, you're going to move through your spiritual life. And when you take that and you put it into your entrepreneurial life or your business life, if you could take that same love, that same care, and project it onto your customers, project it onto your clients, project it onto your employees, project it on the people around you, your company will flourish, right? Your company will be those things. Your company will aspire to be that type of love that Gordon had, that type of love that's out there. Now, listen, I want to tell you, this was an epic morning for me. And I want to tell you that the reason this makes so much sense, and the reason that I can share this stuff with you, is because I've really worked hard at it in my life. And I failed. I get it. People say they fail, but I get it. I've screwed up big time. But here's the thing. There's always redemption. Right? You know, there's always redemption. The thief on the cross lives his entire life until the very last moment. He reached over to Christ and said, can I go with you? And Christ said, of course you can. At the moment there, 30 seconds later, the thief died a life of thieving his whole life. He accepted Christ and God. He went to heaven with Jesus, right? For all we know, he was the first one to go with God, right next to Christ at that moment. So I just want you to know redemption's there. I want you to know that this are the things that you can work through. And I just wanted to encourage you this morning, all this stuff. I wanted to encourage you with Gordon. I wanted to encourage you with your business in your life. I want you to understand that things are going to be all right. I want you to know that all of this is going to be great. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here this day to get through this thing called life. I mean, we can do this. I want you to take this Monday. I want you to take this week. I want you to take this dearly beloved moment. A world of never-ending happiness. I want you to take this sunshine every day, day and night. I want you to know that you are special. It's going to be all right. Come on now, this is Monday. I want to jack you up. I want you to understand that you are amazing. I want you to understand that things are going to be great this week. I want you to understand that you can love others, patiently, kindly. Do not envy. Do not boast. Do not be proud. Come on now. Do a little bit like Prince. Do it all now. Let's have a great day because I love you.